at the crossroads. Should I stay in this relationship or do I need to leave? And I want to give you really clear ideas about the questions you need to ask yourself as you walk through this process. So the first is, can you forgive? Forgiveness is absolutely paramount in this staying and going process. You know, can you actually really forgive your partner for what they've done? And are you willing to move towards rebuilding trust? Now, that's a process which we've talked about in an earlier video, but bringing trust back to this relationship is really important. So are you willing to work towards that? Forgiveness is really important because it's part of that healing process. It isn't that we are saying what you did was okay. It's saying that I forgive you for what you did. It was awful and it wounded me, but I forgive you. And truly believing that in your heart, which is, of course, an incredibly important part of this. The next part is your partner really remorseful? Do they really truly feel sorry for what they've done? Do they understand the devastation they have caused? And are they willing to take personal responsibility without blaming other people or saying it was because of some external circumstance that it happened? The rebuilding trust, as I said, is really important. You can't really have a healthy relationship without trust. So both parties have got to be really willing to go down that track of building the trust back up. And it takes time and energy and effort. And it really is an effort. You can't afford to just hope that things will get better. You can't really afford to think, well, hey, you know, I can never forgive you. If you can't forgive, it's going to be hard to move on together as a team. You need to know what your deal breakers are. So you need to know exactly what it is that is not okay with you. You have to think about what actions and behaviors are completely unacceptable to you and whether they're a violation of the relationship to you. An example of that is maybe your partner works with the person they had an affair with. It is, what do you do about that? Is it they have to leave their job and they have to look for something else? Is it that, you know, if it's in your friendship circle that they absolutely cannot be seen with that person at any point in time ever? Is it the phone is available to you whenever you want to look at it and it doesn't have any passwords and no histories are cleared? You need to know your deal breakers and you need to negotiate them with your partner. It's really important for you to sit and think about, do I feel respected and valued in this relationship? Do I feel like he or she appreciates me, that they care about me, that they really do, they do actually care about who I am, they do think I'm worthy and lovable? Does this relationship enhance the way you feel about yourself or does it diminish your sense of self? And that is really important, because if you're in a situation where the relationship makes you feel bad about yourself, you really need to look at, is this going to work for you or not? You know, self-love is really important. It's under-discussed and under-managed. The bottom line with self-love is that is where love, all love stems from, right? If we can't love ourselves, we really struggle to love other people, or we love conditionally with the hope of receiving love in return. So self-love is really important, and if that is diminished by somebody's behavior, we need to start looking at, is this a good thing for me to do, to be in this situation where I question my worth? You're looking from a partner for changes in their behavior, right? So now you're looking for evidence that they're making positive changes in the longer term, that they are absolutely committed to making the changes necessary. They've got to be doing that on a daily basis. It doesn't kind of happen for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then they go back to the way things used to be. There has to be long-term changes in behavior that you can see to demonstrate to you that things are changing. I have said in earlier series that it's really important for you to make sure that you are seeing somebody to help you through this process. It is not a simple, easy process. And I honestly believe that if there is an affair in a relationship and you want to continue the relationship, you need external support to do that. Preferably with somebody who is trained and somebody who understands how to work with people who want to stay together post-affair. Okay, so something else that's really important, of course, is what are your needs and what are your boundaries? Lots of people tell me that they don't know what they need and they don't know how to set boundaries. That's not okay. You need to work that out. You need to be able to clearly communicate to your partner what your needs are and what your boundaries are, so that the other person has a chance at actually fulfilling what you want to need. All relationships, healthy relationships, are built on an understanding and a respect of each other's needs and each other's boundaries. And if you don't have those in place, it is going to be mighty challenging to try and have a healthy relationship. These are things that I teach. We talk about boundaries and people think I set a boundary and therefore that's the end of that. No. A boundary, setting a boundary is just the very first step. There are multiple steps after that when people ignore our boundaries, when people override our boundaries, when people ride our boundaries and push the boundaries to the limits. So setting boundaries and explaining what we want and need is really important, and knowing then how to follow through if there are problems with that. The next thing is emotional safety, and that sounds really intriguing. Some people go, what's emotional safety, Debbie? Emotional safety is feeling like I can express myself. I can talk to you about the way I feel. I can talk to you from an emotional standpoint in an intimate kind of way, keeping myself quite vulnerable to you. And to do that, we have to have emotional safety. We have to know that it's a safe space for us to talk about things openly and honestly, and that there'll be no real repercussions about that we can have those hard conversations and still that our partner will love and care about us and make space for us. So emotional safety is incredibly important on both sides if you are going to be able to talk to each other about what has happened, why it happened, and how you move forward from it. Making sure that you have good support systems. Now, this can be really challenging post-affair because maybe your children don't know, maybe your family don't know, maybe your work colleagues or their work colleagues or their family don't know about what's happened. So having a support system is really, really important. Having one or two good, close people who you can go to and talk to when things get really tough, because they will. Of course, having a therapist or a coach who understands and is trained to help walk you through that process can be super helpful. Sitting down and thinking about, can I imagine a future with my partner? Can I sit down and think about how we will genuinely be happy? Will we be fulfilled? Will we be committed to each other? Can I envisage that now or not? Does it feel like it would be positive and healthy and fulfilling for us to stay together? And these questions are really important. These are questions for self-reflection, giving yourself the time to really look through and think about those things, and maybe talking to your partner also and saying, let's have some really honest conversation around this. What do you feel? What do you need? What do you desire? What's important to you? Consulting a professional who can guide you through it. I know I've said this many times, but this is one of those situations where doing it on your own can be completely decimate the relationship. It's too hot a topic. It's too painful a topic. It's too complex a topic not to have people support you through the process. As we transition through the decision-making process, whether we end the relationship because of the affair and things get too hard for us, or we try to push through that, and if you've been in a relationship with somebody for 15, 20, 30 plus years, you may not want to end that relationship in spite of an affair. You may want to sit down and think really deep and hard about, is it worth saving? We have a long history, and so understand that this is going to take you time. It's just really, really challenging. It's a roller coaster, and the roller coaster that you're on does not have an exit for quite some time. You have to go through this grieving process of the relationship that was, and all of the things you believed about the relationship. You have to work through that sense of betrayal where, how could they do this to me? I thought I knew this person inside and out. I can't believe that they would do this to me when they supposedly love me. You have to look at that loss of trust and how that is really decimated, shattered to pieces, the real foundation, that strong structural foundation that the relationship has had for however long it has been going. The personal impact on you as you start to question, am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? Am I lacking in some way? What has happened? Why did they not want me anymore? Why did they go elsewhere? And looking at those things that really impact us on a very personal level about, why has this happened? Why did they stop loving me and go elsewhere? Of course, the practicalities of things like the financial adjustments when after an affair. You know, maybe a partner has spent money on the person they were having an affair with. Maybe you're now looking at, if you're separating, or you've got lawyers or you've got therapists, there's cash that will need to go into that. You may need to pay therapists, you may need to pay lawyers. And so financially, it is a time of massive adjustment, and it can be really challenging. I highly recommend, when you are going through this, you do not do anything quickly. It's like driving a car at 180 k's an hour. You don't turn the wheel fast. It's dangerous. When you're going through the middle of this chaotic, distressing, upsetting, overwhelming time, it is not a good idea to be making decisions about splitting assets and things like that. You need to slow down. You need to take your time. You need to be mindful, because you are emotionally really in a very vulnerable place. You know, you may have to really do a lot of dancing around the social circles you're in and the friendships that you have at a time when you probably need people more than ever, where you may or may not, some people may have known, some people may have really strong opinions about what's happened, and these things are going to impact your relationship whether you stay or you go regardless. So those social things that would normally be helping and keeping things afloat may in actual fact pull things right under, where people take sides, and it can be very, very challenging. Of course, there's kids, right? And this can be very, very difficult. I'm using a lot of very, very's, I've just noticed. I'll be mindful not to say very, very too much. So when our kids are involved, depending on their age, if they're really young, they may be completely oblivious to this. If they're getting a bit older, they may be fully aware of this. If they're in their teens, they're probably extremely aware of this. And those dynamics and the co-parenting dynamics can become extremely strained. Try to keep a consistent and stable environment for your kids is very important, but also giving yourself grace when you are trying to manage all of the things that are going on. I really think that there are some positives around this, and most people say you have lost your freaking mind. There's nothing positive about this. I think that when somebody has an affair, it can give us an opportunity for rediscovery, for self-discovery. It can give us an opportunity to really look at our lives and think about, where am I at? Is this where I want to be? Is this what I expected my life to look like? And if it's not, looking at, what am I going to do about that? Forget about what I'm waiting for them to do, but what am I going to do? What do I want my life to look like? How do I feel about where my life is at? Is my life rich and meaningful? Do I feel good about where I'm at right now? Or do I have a lot of regrets that I should have done different things, that I could have made different choices, that I may want to focus more on myself, my health and my well-being, and the things that I've maybe given up for my family and my partner?